It's a vibe.
It
It's a
is.
vibe, Barry. I
Totally.
like I like the new surroundings. Welcome everybody. Welcome. It is horse racing happy hour, folks. It's SoCal Saturday. You might notice that I am not Louie Rabeau. In
No way. Are
fact,
you serious?
yeah, it's not the same person. Not the same person at all.
Jeez.
Where is Louie? You might be asking. Uh, I'm sorry, children, but that's no longer our concern. Um, I don't get it twisted. He's fine. He's not dead. I promise that. But he is covering the Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby this weekend. So he's on track at Churchill Downs. He asked me to fill in. Who am I? My name is Chase Sessoms, the Wolf of Oaklawn, host of the Notorious OTB with this handsome gentleman sitting next to me, Mr. Barry Spears. Barry, what's going on, buddy?
Man, that's a hell of an intro. I need that every time from you. But yeah, thank you. Doing good today. Already got a nice winner under my belt at the Oaks, and I'm set for success. So I think this Santa Anita card will kill it.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead. We know it's Oaks Day, so let's dive in. We're talking the Santa Anita Saturday card for this Saturday, the 3rd of May, year of our Lord 2025. It's a 10-race card, post time 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Central, 1 o'clock Pacific time. Look at me using the right names for the time zones because I'm on someone else's show. Race 1, Barry, 6 furlongs, $50,000 optional claimer on the turf. I didn't think that there was an exceeding amount of speed in this race early, and it makes the chalk look like an appealing option as a horse to get around in this first race. What did you think?
It was kind of a tricky race because the favorites do look pretty good here. Beyond that, it's hard to see what the race shape is going to be like. But I ended up on the 4 Gazone. That race, that one race back in March 16th to be exact, kind of stands out over this field. And there's not really a whole lot of quote unquote winning types in this race. So I thought Gazon was a good play. News at 10 will probably be closing. Is probably the second best horse in this race. I know he's had a lot of cracks at this distance in class, but he does show up. And then I used the 6 Traveling Show for 3rd.
We almost went exactly the same. We saw eye to eye here with Gazone. I mean, facing winners for the first time after scoring off the layoff, back in March to break the maiden. I think this is the controlling speed in this race. It's a little bit muddy, but I'm going to take a stand and say this is it. And second, I'm also using 5 News at 10. It seems beatable, but probably not beatable off the board in this race. This is the issue: is just the horse just doesn't win. Runs really strong figures, just doesn't win. The 7 Targaris at 10-1 is my 3rd pick here. This strikes me as a horse that might flash a little bit of early speed, but ultimately takes up the stalking trip behind Gazone. I didn't think they're going to be going fast early. I think that Targaris could hold to get a piece of at a longer price here. So I was 4-5-7. Barry, you were 4-5-6 in race 1. Let's hit race 2, 6.5 furlongs, $50,000. California bred maiden claiming. Barry, I feel naked without my sound drops that I usually use. I'm just scrambling for buttons right now, but maiden races are won in gate to wire fashion a lot of the time. I think you take a stab with the runner in this race with the forwardly placed running style that it's exhibited in its first 2 races with a healthy early pace figure on time form. I'll go ahead. I'll lead this one off, Barry. I liked the 3 Flash That Smile at 10-1 for Sean McCarthy for Tyler Bays up in the irons. He gets a second crack after the 1-year layoff after being the speed and fade. I feel like Flash That Smile obviously needed that race, and I'm really looking forward to this second start off of the layoff. And then McCarthy's been putting just steady 5 furlong drills through this horse. And if there's one thing I've taken from Barry, it is the long 5 furlong workout leading into a race. I used the 6 and 2nd Big Whoosh at 9-2. We're dropping from maiden special into maiden claiming in this race, and we're taking a big time cut back in distance here. What Big Whoosh shows is a little bit of an ability to pass other horses, which I think you typically want to use that horse in your maiden races. Because if we get a surprise pace rush from the first-time starter or a change in tactics, this one could be the only one that can pick up pieces. And then the 3, I use the Chief, Maria Tall Chief, 9-5. Phil D'Amato, good first off the turf. Maria Tall Chief making that career debut on dirt. And the turf figures are good enough to win this race. But I think there's some right to skepticism here, and I don't think you accept a short price I think Maria Tall Chief sitting up close, going to try to stalk and pounce. It just remains to be seen if she can do that for anything other than minor awards. Barry, what do you think of race 2?
I thought it was a really interesting race because a lot of these horses are coming off of the turf. And you get a weird sort of run out of turf horses who run on dirt. A lot of them like to kind of get to the lead or make a real nice middle move and then fade. So I have the thought that a lot of that is going to be going on in this race. And then I landed on the 6 Big Whoosh, who kind of looks like a closer. But I think the dirt might help this horse. And with everybody who I think is going to back up, this horse could easily, pass everybody and win this race. This is a really tricky race, to be honest. I used the 7 Smiling Forever for second. Just really on the dropping class, might move this one up a little bit. And then lastly, I use Maria Tall Chief, who has been very consistent. Same thing, dropping down in class slightly. 9 to 5 is tough to take on anybody in a race like this, so we throw that one in for third.
Well, there we go. Race 3, we're jamming along, 5.5 furlong, $16,000 claimer on the dirt. For once, I'm not going to be that guy that thinks that every single sprint race has a pace collapse early. I totally am that guy, but for this brief period, I'm going to elect to be Love's early speed guy. The shorter sprint distance makes that decision a little bit easier because it plays even more to early speed. Did you think speed took this on the front end, or are you looking for something a little more tactical in race 3, Barry? You're muted, brother.
That's good because I really was fumbling on what I was saying. But I did have the notion that speed might be very effective in this race. There's really not much of it. And I landed on Sir Maximus to kind of dial back one of those performances he had back in November of last year. These are the bottom level claimers, and it's kind of a crapshoot. These horses don't really like to win or pass horses, so I think a horse like Sir Maximus, who's going to be forwardly placed, might be the way to go.
There you go. What's 2 and 3? Let's hear it.
I used the 5. What's the horse's name? Zombo Bombo. For a second, how did I forget that one? Seems to have some speed also. I mean, it's really tough with these conditioned claimers. I mean, this horse is running at 32,000 non-winners of 2, just like this race, but double the price. It's such a tough read, but this horse seemed to have a little bit of an edge, buyer speed figure wise over the field, so we'll use that one for second. And then I use the 6 Cupid's Crusader for third, kind of picking up the pieces. This horse had ran a couple of good races back at Santa Anita last year. I think that one might pick up the rest of them.
Yeah, I went with the 4. A horse you didn't mention, Looks Rare at 4 to 1. We're getting the ultimate equipment change here. I love playing first time geldings, but there's one thing specifically that I'm looking for whenever I actually play a first time gelding, which is workout patterns that look more focused, more regular, less erratic, less all over the place with times and everything. And I think I get that here with Looks Rare. So I think that this one might be a little bit more focused, a little bit, ready to go. I was one of 51 on the work tab recently, going 5 furlongs. And, sometimes with maidens, we ask what's different. And I feel like lower level claimers, you have to ask that question too. So I'm answering the what's different question with the gelding Looks Rare 4 to 1. I agree with you on Zombo Bombo. There's not like a ton to like in this race, but I do think that you have to include Zombo Bombo underneath. And then you mentioned the other horse. I like the 3 Sir Maximus 9 to 2. I think that Raylu gets to do what Raylu does best in this race for George Parabon, which is
put him on the lead.
Put him on the lead. And I love Raylu when he is on the lead. So I'm including that one in third. Barry, we moved to what I thought could be a tough race, but could lead to some prices. Race 4, 6.5 furlongs, $50,000 maiden claimer on the turf. What do you think here? What are we doing?
Again, this is another race that could go a lot of different directions. There's really no clear sort of pace scenario that could or couldn't develop. I kind of want to think that there's not that much speed in here. So I landed on number 2, Pondicherry. This horse back last year, October 25th, ran a pretty decent race on the turf at this same level and kind of got away from that for a little bit. And now the horse springs into action again. You see the speed flashed on March 28th on the turf at this same, or actually half a furlong shorter than this. But the placement and this horse finally getting to the lead once again seems to be the tip off. So we're going to use Pondicherry on top. Now, the one Infinity Dream is really interesting. I was really close to putting this horse on top just because of the fact that this horse was kind of unprepared at the start, got bumped around a little bit, and made a nice move to finish up third. In the racing form, the last two calls, you see the horse is 13 lengths back and then 6.5. So this horse was either motivating or passing horses late, which is always a good sign for a first-time starter. But we'll leave that one in second at 8-1. And then the third horse I used was the 6 Cloudy Women, kind of the best of the rest, dropping down slightly. I think that might make all the difference, but I think this horse is going to be closing late rather than being up close and may pass some rivals late.
You thought about putting Infinity Dream as your top pick. I lived that dream. I got the number 1 Infinity Dream on top here at 8-1. A lot of what you mentioned, got a bad bump in the debut effort here in the maiden claiming. Sure, it was a maiden claiming debut, but I do think what was notable was that we drew Flavian Pratt for that mount last out, and this one needs to fire off the layoff, but we don't necessarily like starters on the rail of maiden claiming races, but we'll go ahead and we'll take one here, and I'm gonna use like you said, the 2 Pondicherry. I could see the early speed being dangerous in this maiden race full of horses that haven't shown the ability to pass. Then the 7 Glamorama 3-1, the chalk in this race. I think you need to consider it for the simple fact that it's just once again shown the ability to pass horses. I feel like these races are either wired or from the clouds, because that's just like the stage of learning that these horses are at in that spot. So I was 1-2-7. You were 2-1-6.
Yes, 2-1-6.
I feel like I'm routinely passing like a cognitive exam. Like, yeah, look at me remembering this sequence of numbers. Way to go,
there you go.
All right, race 5, 5.5, $50,000 optional claimer on the dirt. I thought that this should be a pace and balance to take advantage of here, because all of these speeds have dismal late pace figures, from the time form US figures, and the pace gets hot. I'd rather take more of the plotting style I get from one horse on top. But Barry, am I right or wrong with this pace? How do you see it?
On paper, this looks like, how in elementary school you had field day and you have like the 50-yard dash and all the kids line up and they all run as fast as they can and the least tired one wins. I think that's what's going to happen in this race, honestly. It looks like they're all going to send. And if any jockey has the inkling to take back slightly, they might be in a good position, and I think the 1 might be able to do that. Gracie's Big Day. The last race, it was kind of indicative of the trip that I'd like to see. Almost the exact same thing. Kind of sit, pounce. There's enough speed here with Night with Louie, Fibonacci's Ride, going deep. They all seem to have a lot of speed. Spotted Haze is another one. So this one was kind of the best closer of the bunch. So I took Gracie's Big Day on top. I used the 5 Spotted Haze, who showed ability to slightly rate, and that was the difference between picking the 5 and the 2, who I picked for third. The 2 Night with Louie third, who looks like an all-out speedball.
We look at us. Hey, look at us. Who would have thought? I'm on the number 1 Gracie's Big Day at 6-1. Like, even if this horse had a few holes to poke in it, it's an extreme pace scenario, with this being the real lone off pace horse that's good enough to win, I think. And there's plenty to run into for Orantes here. We're dropping from open company into state bred, and I think the competition fits. Second, I did use the 3 Fibonacci's Ride. My reasoning here was simple. If Gracie's Big Day doesn't win coming from off the pace, it means that someone wired this field. And I think Fibonacci's Ride is that horse. Then I used the 7, throwing one downfield, as it were, Barry. Renata's 30-1. I think this is another horse that could just maybe take advantage of that pace at a massive price. So I'm going to pepper Renatus in for Antonio Garcia. Past other horses in that maiden breaker getting back on dirt. So I could see this one maybe just blowing up the tote here in the fifth. But I'm at least going to use it underneath in third. Barry, we are on to race 6. It's the feature. 10 furlongs, $200,000. The Charlie Whittingham Stakes, Grade 2 on the turf. Santa Anita's moment to shine on Derby Day. This could be a boring result in the Charlie Whittingham, I thought. But I think you try your luck outside using the first choice, unless it's like keyed on top or singled in horizontals. So I'm going to try to get around the favorite. Was it Oaklawn, the 7?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good pronunciation.
Yeah, I was really worried about that one going into this, to be honest. Barry, what are you going to lean into Oaklawn, or are you going to try to go around?
I'm going to try to beat that horse. I mean, honestly, I couldn't get too creative in this race because of the fact that the top 2 choices, the 7 Oaklawn and the 3 City Exile, seem to have the goods as far as going this distance. And I think that might go a long way, that they have sort of an affinity for it. City Exile won a race similar to this July 26th last year at Del Mar, and is stretching out. And I think that's what this horse wants to do. So I use City Exile on top over Oaklawn. And then I threw in the 2 Dicey Mochara, who's a tough horse. He seems to want to go long a little bit and can round out this this trifecta, but I don't think Dicey Mochara can actually win this race, just as a side note.
We need to get our groove back, Bay, because we keep having like pretty much the same top 2, and then we differ on the third. Because I'm City of Exile here. I like there's a little bit of a smoother energy distribution. Something I'll look into with like pace figures and stuff is that smooth kind of even distribution instead of being top heavy or towards the back. So there's a little bit of a plotter here. And I think there are a lot of horses that kind of want to be forwardly placed here. I do think that it's a horse with a closing kick like City of Exile. Oaklawn, 3-2. There's no way that horse isn't around at the end, I guess is what I'll say. Barrios should be flying late. And then the 6, Balladeer at 12-1. Balladeer would be the one that goes and gets aggressive and wires this field if it's possible. But this strikes me as that horse that is the early speed that like might be just the consummate hanger. Where it just has enough speed to just hang on for second or third. So that's why I'm using Balladeer underneath in the Charlie Whittingham. I was 3-7-6. Barry, what were you again? 3-7-2. It's just we're shouting out area codes, folks. That's it. We're just throwing out random ludicrous lyrics for you on Louie's show. It happens. It be like that sometimes. Race 7, 5.5 furlong, $60,000. Another cow bred maiden special weight. I'm going to throw in Downish Field with a first-time starter in the spot at a fair price. Ooh. I say Downish Field. This is like a 5-yard out route, to be honest. I got the 3. Subic boy, 6-1. Jeff Mullins, he's hitting at 31% with a smallish sample size with his firsters. This one's
big muscles. He has huge muscles, this guy.
Jeff Mullins?
Yeah. He's diesel. Very, 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 very diesel. He's like, I typically describe him as buffed out SpongeBob. You know,
he's
rips
SpongeBob
his shirt
shaped?
off. Yeah, No, he's not SpongeBob shaped. He's Diesel, but you know how SpongeBob rips off his shirt? That's him.
He's Jack. Okay. Yeah. See, I have the issue of being SpongeBob shaped. I was wearing a yellow shirt the other day, and I decided to put on a pair of pants. I was putting on a pair of brown pants, and I was like, hold on, you're unwittingly dressing like SpongeBob, and you're shaped like SpongeBob, so you need to cut that out. So I like Subic Boy here. It's by Stay Thirsty, whose offspring do pretty well in dirt sprints, and the Dame Subic Bay was a winner on debut. So we got a little bit of pedigree there, a little precociousness, and Stay Thirsty does decent enough. Plus, this is just a field of consummate losers, and sometimes you have to go with the entity that you don't know for a fact sucks, and we don't know for a fact that Subic Boy sucks. So I'm using that, and then in second, I'm using Day at the Track, 8-1. Last out speed figure tops anything this field has ever put up. Flash some early speed, last out. I think that's going to make Day at the Track dangerous. And then Third, number 8, Go-Go Prancer 7-2. I once again like seeing focus workouts after being gelded, which answers that question for me of what's different today, which is so important in maiden. So, Barry, what did you think of this Cal bred maiden special weight?
Yeah, it's a real interesting race from the standpoint as you got a little mix of the first time starters and these horses that are kind of stepping back up into the maiden ranks, and it's a real tricky one. But I ended up throwing one slightly downfield here with the 7 day at the track. I think that last race on January 18th was better than expected, which constitutes this horse getting back into the maiden special weight ranks. Um, Something must have went amiss along with that, because this horse has been laid off for a little bit until May 3rd, but gets the go-to rider who's at 26% with this barn. A steady stream of 5 and 6 furlong works really stand out to me. Hopefully this horse is fit, because he's going to be forwardly placed and should be able to finish this off if he has any kind of bottom. I use the 5 for second just because of the consistency with this horse. I don't really think this horse wants to win. I think he had every right to win that last race and didn't. Stepping up in class, getting blinkers on, he might improve a little bit, but I don't think enough to win this race. So I used him for second. And then the 8, Go-Go Prancer, seems like the best of the rest, getting back to the dirt with the apprentice and the gelding. So the makeover package for the 8 might put him in the money here.
All right, let's keep jamming along. We jam into race 8, which leads off the closing pick 3, 9 furlongs, $50,000 optional claimer on the turf. This feels like it might get a little testy on the front end with the few horses that want to flash some early speed in the turf route here. I'm looking at closing kick here, and I think I got it with the price. I went with lottery pick number 2. Once again, my boy Ray Lou. 6-1, up for Peter Yurton. I like seeing the aggressive class move after coming up just short against $32,000 claimers last out. Yurton moves lottery pick to a $50,000 optional claiming, takes the tag off. I love aggressive spottings like this from trainers. So I'm taking that as a good sign with the 2 lottery pick. Using the 6 Nitty at 10-1. Leonard Powell drops in Nitty, who I think is a very live long shot in this race. He comes in off of 2 straight trouble trips, but look out, because with the clean trip, this horse can fly late. And then I threw another one downfield with the 11 Lahaina Lover at 12-1. Why not Lahaina Lover at a price? If you want back class, we've got to win against simpler competition. Speed figures were trending up before the layoff, and it looks to be training well and getting a little bit of a weight break here. So I was kind of all over the place hunting prices here with the 2 lottery pick at 6-1, the 6 Nitty at 10-1, and Lahaina Lover in third at 12-1. Barry, are we booming this? Are we booming this 8th?
Yeah, well, I don't think favorites are going to do well in this race. The favorites just don't look the part. There's a lot of other horses doing better things and can improve in this race. I landed on the 8 El Rey Rey. This horse has some versatility, can be up close, can be off of it. I think they would prefer a stalking trip, especially cutting back in distance from the 1.25 mile race on March 28th. So that being said, I think this horse kind of sits in the catbird seat and will get first run. We'll have to hold off Zalamo, who I think might be tough in this spot, who was in that same race that El Rey Rey is coming out of and actually finished ahead of him. But I think getting the jump going this distance might be better for El Rey Rey. And then I used lottery pick to pick up the pieces for third. I just think this horse is going to be too far back to win this race, but will be on the scene late.
All right, we got another maiden race, race 9, penultimate leg, 8 furlongs, $20,000 maiden claiming. Let's see here, because sometimes you just have to lean into your trainer angles with some of these maiden races here. And I'm going to try to do that here with a horse making a surface switch with a trainer that's good with the move. Barry, I kicked it off with the 5, Bound to Succeed. 4-1.
Okay.
Don't accept a short price on this horse, but fortunately, I don't think you'll have to. It's going turf to dirt for Peter Yurton with a pedigree that says no problem. So I think you take him on the surface change there, 4-1. And then I was the 7 Stepbrother Austin, 8-1. Could be the early pace in this race for Doug O'Neill. So I think that, once again, always dangerous when it comes to early pace and maidens. And then number 10, Majestic Palisades, 8-5. Impossible to leave this one off because the figures tower, but personally, I'd rather look for, better value in a field of chronic losers. So what do you think for race 9?
I ended up on the 7, Stepbrother Austin. I think this horse is going to get turned loose on the front end and go for it. And I think that might make all the difference, especially second time at this level. I find that really effective. And this horse dueled while wide last time. Might have a little bit of a pace advantage and get to the lead here and finish him off. The other horse I'm going to use is the Gypsy Cowboy. I think the slight drop in class, and again, second time at this level, is going to make all the difference. And this horse should be coming late. And my third horse would be Noble Gary for the same reasons. I'm not really too enamored with this horse because he's been up and down the class ladder. But I think this particular class level he really fits at. He got beat by 11 last time. So you can kind of put a line through that. He's probably a lot better at this level than it appears on paper. So we're going to use that one for third.
I really wish we had a breaking news thing here because while Barry was reading off that, I was watching the La Troyenne. Barry, down goes Torpedo Anna. Didn't
As
even
we
hit
thought.
the try.
As we thought.
Bingo, $20 winner on Raging Sea there if you pays to listen to the Notorious OTB, folks. All right. Barry, yeah, I gave you my plays here. We are down to the final leg. We're talking race 10, 6 furlongs, $50,000 optional claimer on the turf. Crazy stuff always happens in the last race of the day, Barry.
Oh, yeah.
What crazy stuff is going to happen Saturday, SoCal?
Tam's Little Angel is going to win the race, and our guy Orantes is going to have at least 2 winners on the card. At least, I think.
Don't you love these big weekends elsewhere when like the little guys just like ball out? Like I used to call BC Weekend Kendrick Carmouche Appreciation Day at Aqueduct.
Yeah, it's always cool, because those guys, they work hard just like the others, and they don't always get the best horses and make the best out of what they got. When those guys are out of town, they love to take advantage to ride those Cadillacs and get in the winner's circle. So kudos out to them. Hopefully our guy Orantes can get this horse in the winner's circle. But the reason I use this horse, he's just better, or she's just better going to the flat 6 furlongs rather than down the hill, but has the versatility to win on both. Did it back-to-back, January 19th and February 8th. Kind of went into the Irish O'Brien and didn't get a great trip, got bumped around a bit. He was only 7-1. He was bet a little bit. She was bet a little bit. Now gets into this race where I think she might have a little bit of a class edge and gets the win at 8-1. I'm going to use the 6, Not a Sinner, for second. This horse ran a really good race March 1st against Ange and Ash, who is a really decent horse on the flat 6 furlongs out there in California, and almost won that race, to be honest. And I think this is another good spot for this horse to close into. And then I'm going to use the horse that finished third in that same race, Nini Diamond, to round out the trifecta. So this one might get a little crazy.
I think it's going to get crazy because we only have one horse in common. I have another one that's a double-digit odds, and another one that's a fair price. Leaning into the crazy stuff always happens in the last race. I'm using the number 3 Needle Point, 12-1. It improved in the second start in North America, and this one broke the maiden on debut in Chantilly in France. I think this one has some kick late and is around at the end. I also think of like Chantilly as maybe being a little bit boggy, so the concern that might be maybe the turf is a little too firm, but we'll see. The juice is worth the squeeze at 12-1 with Needle Point there at the 3. And then we agree, number 6, Not a Sinner, 12-1. Kyle Frey up for Simon Callahan. More of a mid-pack horse, I think, can take advantage of the speed and the 2 back figures fast enough to win this. And if this is an AB pattern horse that like we might be settling into here, that we're sitting on an A performance at a big price with Not a Sinner. And then I finished it up with the 8, Andiamo Ragazza at 5-1. I just missed versus similar company in the last start. Also going to be flying late for Peter Miller. So that's it. We've gone through all 10 races of SoCal Saturday. I know with the substitute, a lot of you didn't expect to do any work, that we would just turn on the TV to Maury and you guys could just chill out for the entire period. No, we came here. We gave you hard hitting analysis. Barry, how do you feel about SoCal Saturday?
I love it. Santa Anita has really done a good job putting these cards together. I know, at the beginning of this card, it's a little small fields and everything, but later in the card, it's pretty decent. And I think this late pick 5 will pay pretty good.
Yeah, I would kind of agree, because I think we ended up on a bunch of very varied big prices here. I think there were a lot of directions to go in some of these races, and somewhere the pace supports a great pick, but you just know it's going to be the horse that wires everybody that holds on. So
Yeah.
I think it could get interesting.
Yeah, even in the beginning, there's a few races that are kind of up for grabs, and it wouldn't surprise me if a big price wins one of those. So I think it's a decent card, honestly.
Yep. Well, we are out of here. By the way, remember, check out our show, the Notorious OTB. Be a dirty little pig boy with us. So check us out. We're on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and also we're on YouTube. So check us out there. Hey, big shout out to Louie Rabeau, who
Yes.
I'm always shocked when I'm invited back places, but when someone invites me back and gives me the keys, I'm weirded out. So thank you, Louie, for trusting me with your show, and thank you to the audience for not being mean to me, I guess.
Yeah, we got a nice crowd.
Barry, you got any parting words for Derby weekend?
Make that money. Let's go.
Make that play for that money, boys. All right, that's going to do it for the Horse Racing Happy Hour SoCal Saturday. I'm not sure when Louie will catch you again. I don't really keep up with the schedule, but he'll catch you sometime. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.